She had wealth. She had honor. She had a respected name in Makkah. She could have chosen a life of comfort. But then she stood beside a man who had no throne, no army, and no worldly kingdom. And when the people of Makkah rejected him, she believed him. When he was mocked, she supported him. When he was afraid, she gave him comfort. And when the road ahead became filled with hardship, she did not walk away. She stayed. This is not the story of a queen who ruled a kingdom. It is the story of a woman whose faith became stronger than wealth, stronger than fear, and stronger than the pressure of an entire city. This is the story of Khadijah bint Khuwaylid radhiyallahu anha. Long before Muhammad received the first revelation, Makkah was already a major center of trade. Caravans came and went across the Arabian Peninsula. Merchants built their fortunes. Tribes protected their honor. And the Kaaba stood at the heart of the city. Among the respected people of Makkah was a woman known for her dignity, intelligence, and business success. Her name was Khadijah bint Khuwaylid radhiyallahu anha. She came from a noble family of Quraysh and was involved in trade. Her wealth allowed her to live with comfort. But wealth was not the quality that made her truly remarkable. It was her character. And there was another person in Makkah whose character had already become famous. Muhammad. Before prophethood, the people of Makkah knew him as Al-Amin, the trustworthy. He was not known for wealth. He was not a king. He had no army. But people trusted him with their possessions because they knew his honesty. Khadijah radhiyallahu anha heard about his reputation and entrusted him with her merchandise. Muhammad traveled on her behalf, and the journey was successful. But perhaps the greatest thing that came back from that journey was not the prophet. It was a deeper understanding of the man who had carried her goods. He was honest. He was trustworthy. He was honorable. And Khadijah radhiyallahu anha recognized qualities in him that were far more valuable than wealth. Eventually, Khadijah radhiyallahu anha and Muhammad were married. Their marriage would become one of the most important relationships in Islamic history. For years, they lived together in Makkah. They had a family. They shared ordinary days. But Muhammad was increasingly drawn towards solitude and worship. He would leave the noise of Makkah behind and retreat to the Cave of Hira. There, away from the idols and distractions of the city, he would spend time in reflection and worship. And then came a night unlike any night before it. A night that would change not only the life of Muhammad, but the history of humanity. In the Cave of Hira, the angel Jibril came to Muhammad with the first revelation. The experience was overwhelming. Muhammad returned home deeply shaken. He went to Khadijah radhiyallahu anha. And now imagine the moment. The man known throughout Makkah as Al-Amin had returned home frightened by something he had experienced. He needed someone he could trust. And Khadijah radhiyallahu anha was there. She did not mock him. She did not abandon him. She did not turn away because she could not immediately understand what had happened. She listened. She comforted him. And she reminded him of the man she already knew. A man who maintained family ties. A man who helped the poor. A man who honored his guests. A man who supported people through hardship. She believed that Allah would not abandon someone with such qualities. Then she took him to Waraka ibn Nawfal, who was knowledgeable about the earlier scriptures. Waraka recognized the significance of what Muhammad had experienced. The mission had begun. Muhammad was now the messenger of Allah. And the message he brought was simple. Worship Allah alone. Leave the idols. Turn away from false gods. Return to the one who created you. For the leaders of Makkah, this message was not welcome. Their society had been built around traditions and idols that had been worshipped for generations. And now Muhammad was calling them to abandon them. The opposition began. The man they once called Al-Amin was mocked. He was insulted. He was rejected. Pressure was placed upon him. But Khadijah radhiyallahu anha remained beside him. She had wealth. She had a respected position. She could have chosen a quiet life away from the conflict. But she did not choose comfort. She chose faith. She supported the messenger of Allah during the earliest days of his mission. And as the number of believers grew, the opposition became harsher. The Muslims were persecuted. Families were pressured. People were insulted and harmed because they believed in Allah. Then came an even more difficult period. The boycott. The Muslims and the clan of Banu Hashim were subjected to severe social and economic isolation. Normal trade and social relations were restricted. Food became difficult to obtain. Life became extremely painful. And Khadijah radhiyallahu anha endured those years. Think about the sacrifice. A woman who had once possessed considerable wealth was now experiencing hardship. She could have protected her comfort. Instead, she shared the suffering of the messenger of Allah and those around him. Her wealth could have given her an easier life, but she chose to support the truth. The hardship continued. Days became months. Months became years. And the physical and emotional burden took its toll. Eventually, Khadijah radiallahu anha became ill. The woman who had stood beside the messenger during the beginning of his mission was approaching the end of her life. And when she passed away, the loss was enormous. Muhammad had lost his beloved wife, but he had also lost one of the greatest sources of support he had known. She had been there before prophethood. She had been there when the first revelation came. She had been there when people mocked him. She had been there when the Muslims were persecuted. She had been there when the road became difficult. And now she was gone. Around the same period, the messenger of Allah also lost his uncle Abu Talib. It was a year of immense sorrow. The messenger had lost two people who had provided important support during the difficult years in Makkah. But Khadijah radiallahu anha was never simply forgotten. Her memory remained in the heart of the messenger of Allah. He remembered her kindness. He remembered her belief. He remembered her sacrifices. And he remembered that she had supported him when others rejected him. That is what makes her story so powerful. She did not wait until Islam became powerful. She did not wait until Muslims had an established community. She did not wait until the world recognized Muhammad. She believed when the number of believers was small. She sacrificed when the future was unknown. She stood beside him before victory. And that is why her story is much bigger than a story about wealth or marriage. It is a story about faith. The world often teaches us to measure a person's greatness by what they own, how much money they have, how powerful they are, how many people know their name. But Khadijah radiallahu anha gives us another definition of greatness. Use what Allah has given you for what is right. Stand beside truth when it is difficult. Support those who are walking toward Allah. And do not allow fear of the world to control your heart. Khadijah radiallahu anha had wealth, but wealth did not own her. She had status, but status did not control her. She had comfort, but she was willing to sacrifice it. And when the messenger of Allah needed someone who believed in him during the earliest and most difficult days of revelation, she was there. Her story reminds us that sometimes the greatest test is not whether we can recognize the truth. It is whether we are willing to stand with it when standing becomes difficult. Khadijah radiallahu anha did. She believed, she supported, she sacrificed, and she remained remembered as one of the greatest women in Islamic history. She had no throne, no army, no kingdom, yet her legacy became greater than the kingdoms of her time. Because worldly kingdoms disappear, gold disappears, buildings disappear, names of rulers fade, but faith can live for generations. And the faith of Khadijah radiallahu anha became part of a story remembered by Muslims across the world. A story that began in Makkah, a story that passed through the Cave of Hira, a story that survived persecution and hardship, and a story that continues to teach us what true loyalty looks like. May Allah be pleased with Khadijah bint Khuwaylid radiallahu anha. May Allah reward her for her faith, her patience, her generosity, and everything she sacrificed for the sake of Allah. And may Allah give us hearts that recognize truth before it becomes popular, hearts that remain firm when others turn away, and hearts that value faith more than everything the world can offer. Because Khadijah radiallahu anha teaches us one timeless lesson. You do not need a kingdom to become great. You need faith, you need courage, and you need a heart willing to choose Allah over the comfort of this world. That was Khadijah radiallahu anha, and that is why her story will never be forgotten.